So in this tutorial, we'll be exploring neural network training. We'll first look at single layer neural networks, and then we'll move on to multi-layer neural networks. And we'll be modeling the same function, y equal to 2x minus 1. This is the same function that we tried to model in tutorial 1. And finally, we will also evaluate our model and check out its performance. So first, we will look at single layer neural network. So this is how the network looks. It essentially contains just a single neuron with an associated input, associated output, and parameters W and B. So we'll be using TensorFlow APIs to model our layers and our training procedure. So here we use the keras.layers.dense API, and we define one unit, which reflects essentially that we have a single neuron, and the input shape being 1. Because here, the inputs that we give in to this neuron are essentially scalar values. So now that we've defined our layer, the neural networks that we'll be working with are feed-forward neural networks, where essentially multiple layers are stacked one after the other. So this is achieved by using the TensorFlow.sequential API, where we essentially stack up the different layers that we define. Here we have only a single layer, so we'll be using only that. After we defined our model with the single layer of ours, we'll be defining our loss function as well as the optimization algorithm that we will be using. So TensorFlow again has a simple API called model.compile, where we use MSE as our loss and SGD, which is essentially stochastic gradient descent, which is a variation of gradient descent. So now that we've defined our model, we've defined our optimization algorithm, and we've defined our loss, we will go ahead and train our model. So here we have our x's and we have our y's. Again, here we're defining our small data set, each of 6 values. And now, instead of writing a for loop to go through each x and predicting each y, we have this API called model.fit that does that for us. So we will call this model.fit API on our x's and our ground truth y's for 500 epochs. And what this will be doing is calculating the loss, calculating the gradients, and updating our W and parameter values. And this runs for 500 epochs. So we see now that loss is really small. So we can assume that our model is trained really well. So, but in real life ML models, we can't really make this assumption. So we have to test it out. So let's do that. So let's test our model's prediction on a new X value that it hasn't seen before. So for example, let's see how it does on the value 10. We know that the model we're trying to model is 2x minus 1. So this should give us a value of 19. So you see that it's pretty close, 18.98. So we can also inspect or look at the W and B values that were learned. So if we run this API, we see that our W value was essentially 2 or close to 2. Here it's just 1.99. And our B value is minus 0.99. So it is close to minus 1, but not exactly minus 1. And that explains why the value that we got was 18.98. So close to 19, but not exactly that. So we can say that our model is doing pretty well. So now from a single layer neural network, let's move on to a multi-layer neural network and see if that makes any difference. So in this multi-layer neural network, we have now 2 layers. We have this hidden layer, and then we have an output layer. And just a note on the notation. X represents the input, Y represents the output. The W's are the weights. The B's are the biases. And A's are called activations, but they're essentially outputs of each neuron. So, and the superscript defines the layer number. So this is essentially layer 1. with associated weight, associated bias, and its output. And this is layer 2 with associated weights, with associated bias and out. And the outputs of layer 1 would act as inputs to layer 2. And the subscript is essentially indicating that it goes from, say, input 1 to neuron 1, input 1 to neuron 2. And here it's from neuron 1 to neuron 1, and from neuron 2 to neuron 1. So basically the neuron number in its particular layer. Okay. So now that we've pictorially seen what our model looks like, let's define it. So we have now two layers. My layer 1 would be a dense layer with 2 units or 2 neurons, but the same input shape because we're feeding it scalar values. And then our second layer, which is the output layer here, with only one input neuron. We don't have to explicitly define the input shape to this layer, only the first layer, because it will automatically calculate the output, or it will automatically calculate the input shape given the output that it calculates in the previous layer. So let's run that. Then it works the same way. We stack them up linearly using the sequential API. So here we see that we have my layer 1, comma my layer 2. So they will be stacked one after the other. We define our optimizer and we define our loss function. Next, we do the same thing. We train our model for 500 epochs given the small data set. But the model that the difference between section 1 and section 2 is only the model architecture. So in the first one, we had only single neuron. Here we have a multi-layer neural network. So here, this we run it for 500 epochs, and we see that the loss again is extremely tiny. So again, we will evaluate our model, and we see that this model's prediction is actually much closer to 90 than the previous model's prediction. And we will look at all the weights and biases that were learned at each layer. So here, it's not just a single W and single B value, as we saw in this diagram. There are multiple. So there are 4 weight values and there are 3 bias values. So that is reflected in these values over here. And one thing we can say, or one way to justify why this multi-layer neural network is performing better than our single-layer neural network is that we can sort of look at it as a divide and conquer method. So now there are multiple or more than one path for optimizations to occur per epoch. And this leads to faster convergence to the ground truth values. So our previous model, that is the single layer neural network, could effectively reach the same performance as this multi-layer neural network, but it would take longer or it would take more number of epochs to achieve it. So now that we've seen our neural network and the performance of it, let's just look at the equations to understand what exactly is happening behind the scenes. So here, the output of neuron 1, that is A11, would essentially be, which is actually just the Y of this neuron, would be WX or W11 into X plus B1. Same goes for the output of the second neuron. And then finally, the third neuron combines linearly the outputs of neuron 1 and outputs of neuron 2 with their corresponding. So it will be W112 into this A1 plus W212 into this A2 plus the bias. So that's what our final output is. And in this cell, we are just accessing each layer's weights and biases, and we're calculating neuron 1's output, we calculate neuron 2's output, and then we finally use both of these to calculate our neuron 3 output. And you see that we're getting the same value that we did using the neural network. Finally, we extend that problem to a function that just doesn't have one x scalar value, but is dependent on x1 as well as x2. So in this scenario, we'll have more weights because now we have more connections between inputs and the first layer, and the equations would slightly differ. So for example, the output of neuron 1 would include both the inputs. So it would include W11 into X1 and W21 into X2 plus this bias. Same goes for this neuron. And then the third neuron output effectively combines the outputs of neuron 1 and output of neuron 2. So how the code changes is that you have your layer 1, you have units 2, which is the same as the previous one, but now your input shape becomes 2 because it's no longer just scalar. It's x1 comma x2 giving rise to one y value. So your input shape varies. Your output layer remains the same. We stack them up to define our model. We use a different optimizer here. We use the Adam optimizer, and then we use the MSE loss. Now, for ground truth, for the previous two examples, we hard-coded 6 values of x and y. But in this scenario, we can just create or run 2 for loops to create our ground truth data. So what I did was just run 2 for loops from 0 to 100, calculated our x's, which would be 1 x1 and 1 x2, and calculate the y or the ground truth y, and append that to a y or a ground truth list. So essentially, we should get 10,000 values of x1, x2 corresponding to y. Now, this is what forms our ground truth data set, and then we fit our model on this ground truth data set. So it's the same procedure, the same steps as the previous ones. The only difference is that we changed the input shape to reflect the difference in the input, and we also just created our own ground truth data. So we see that the loss is small. So to give you a better idea of what the ground truth looks like now, is it's 10,000 comma 2 for x's because you have x1 comma x2, so there are vectors of x1, x2 values, and you have corresponding ground truth values, which is just a single y value given x1 and x2. So now it's 10,000 comma 1. In the previous example, both were just 6 comma 1, 6 comma 1, or 1D vectors of 6 values. Okay. And now let's again evaluate our model. So here we see that we trained our model for x1 and x2 values ranging from 0 to 99. So let's try to take a value that's not in that range. So we take x1 as 120 and we take x2 as minus 10. And given 2x minus 1 is the relationship we're trying to model, it should be around 252. Yeah, and we see that it's actually giving a very good estimate and exactly 252. Yeah, and this also shows that our model with a multi-layer neural network architecture is doing pretty well. And these are the corresponding W and weight and bias values. We would have more weights here. We'd have 4 over here and 2 over here. So totally 6 weights, and we'd have 3 biases.